Experts say this has been one of the worst summer travel seasons on record. Travelers have seen widespread flight cancellations and major travel delays as airlines battle severe weather events across the country and abroad. More than 20,000 flights have been delayed this week. That's according to FlightAware. And the effects of climate change could mean these severe weather incidents are here to stay. So to help us break this down and what it all means for our future travel is Amanda Hoover. She is a staff writer for Wired magazine and has been covering how climate change is impacting travel. So, we know that some airlines had some computer meltdowns and so on and so forth. And that certainly contributed to some of the delays and cancellations. But we're focusing on the impact of climate change. And I think it's there's levels to this, as you might say. So a lot of people are going to think, we see that there's a lot more thunderstorms or they seem more severe. Is that connected to climate change?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of ways that climate change can affect air travel. Thunderstorms are an obvious one. When there's more heat in the air, there's more moisture, more thunderstorms.
Right.
We've also had a ton of wildfire smoke on the East Coast this year, and plane navigation systems aren't really designed to work well through wildfire smoke. They work well through rain and fog, but that can cause delays as well, and a further spacing out of the planes, changes in air traffic. So some of the really odd weather and really severe things that we've seen on the East Coast have had a lot of effects on flights this year.
So, people understand, look, I'm sitting on the tarmac, there's a thunderstorm, I can't take off. That is very clear why there's a delay. But there are sort of less obvious impacts too, that the travel industry is looking at that may be affecting them long term. We're not just talking about one summer, we're talking about maybe every summer.
Yeah, absolutely. A really high heat actually can cause delays because a plane in high temperatures needs more time and more distance to take off to fight gravity. So some airports, have really long runways and might be able to accommodate this, but in really, really high temperatures, we're talking above 100 degrees, where we've seen the Southwest really battling this for the entire month of July. That can cause flight delays at certain airports as well.
And, I was also reading about it's basic stuff like it's really, really hot, the buckling of concrete, which, will put I presume, put a strip sort of out of business, can't be used until it's fixed.
Yeah, that can definitely happen. We saw that last year in Europe with the heat wave that they had. It's happened, over the last 10 years in the US as well. Happened once in DC that the tarmac melted and the plane wheel became stuck. So obviously you can't take off in a situation like that. It gets so hot on those tarmacs. It can also become really difficult for workers to withstand those high temperatures and do their jobs safely.
What's invisible turbulence?
Yeah, there's clear air turbulence, which happens in the absence of clouds. And that's happening as we're seeing hotter air being trapped near the Earth's surface, cooler air higher up. So this isn't typical turbulence that you might think of with storms. This is more from lots of changes in wind shear and wind direction. And that can be really disruptive on your flight. It's obviously very uncomfortable, very unpleasant to have turbulence on a flight. And we might see more of that as climate change continues to warm the Earth.
So then we know, climate change isn't going anywhere. We're obviously not reversing it at the pace that we should be. So how does the airline industry adapt to the inevitable? I mean, is it about different planes? Is it about different schedules? Is this a conversation that's happening within the industry?
Yeah, it's something that they're definitely thinking about. And it's not just on the airlines. This is something that's also on aircraft manufacturers to make the planes more efficient, which has really happened over the past 20 years. Flying has become a lot more efficient, but it still is really a disproportionate causer of emissions. So we see that the airlines are both contributing to climate change and they're also battling its effects. So it's really a conversation between manufacturers, between airlines, between the FAA and other organizations, around the world to come up with solutions for this. So part of it's efficiency, part of it might be changing flight patterns and routes. Because we might see, as the jet stream changes and wind patterns change, that it could take a lot longer to fly places. And some places we might get to a lot quicker. So it's really they're going to have to take a really holistic approach to this, and it's not something that's going to get fixed, for anyone's August vacation. This is a years long problem.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Amanda Hoover, thank you so much.
Thank you.